Hey there, Dingus Stu here. This complete mess you see behind you is what's going to be in your workshop on the mainland that I'm using. At the moment it's just a bomb shelter or something by the looks of it. But today what we're going to do is I've got a boat out of the water and we're going to look at fixing a hole in the transom in it. It's an aluminium boat, and this video particularly looks at ways of fixing it without doing sort of TIG welding on the aluminium. So something you could probably do yourself with some pretty simple tools. So we'll go over, I'll show you the hole in this boat and the tools we'll be using to fix it.
So here you can see there's two pretty sizable holes in the back of this boat. You can also see they've had a few previous patches on. Both of them were kind of emergency patches done at night. This one was actually done about 4 years ago. This one more recently, but they were sort of done very hurriedly just to stop the boat sinking. Now we've got it out of the water, we're going to do them properly. So I'll just show you inside what caused these holes as well. So both these holes had these sort of ground straps in them that I presume were some effort to stop this exact sort of thing happening, some electrolysis happening, but they look like they were actually stainless steel bolts. So the stainless steels reacted with the aluminium, so I never put stainless steel straight in aluminium, and I'm curious to see how these were sort of connected electrically to see if there was the problem was sort of exacerbated by that as well. But both of them were just where these two bolts were through. So if you're going to try something like this, make sure you do your homework and figure out exactly what you're doing so you don't end up making it worse than better.
So to do this job, all we're going to do is we're going to rivet an aluminium plate over these holes. So you'll need a piece of aluminium obviously. Drill, just a cordless drill to drill the holes for the rivets. Some rivets themselves. So these are aluminium blind rivets, very important to get the right ones. They've got a diameter of 4.8 millimeters and a grip, a shaft length of 6.4. So long is good because I need to get through the aluminium plate, a bed of Sikaflex or sealant, and then through the hull itself. Also going to need, if we can find it, a tube of some sort of sealant. This is actually Sikaflex Pro, but there's also a Sikaflex Marine. Both I find really good. But it's really this silicone that's sealing or the Sikaflex that's sealing, it's actually a polyurethane, that's sealing the hole. The aluminium plate really is there to sort of create a sandwich to hold that Sikaflex in place and protect it from being abraded, etc. Some wire brushes and some nylon brushes and some acetone just to clean the surface up because it needs to be quite clean for this Sikaflex to stick well to it. So that's kind of really important. The aluminium plate's relatively new, but I'll also just give that a wipe with acetone. And then we'll need something to cut the patch we're putting on. That can be generally just like a hacksaw or even a circular saw, depending on the shape you need to cut out, or a jigsaw. So I'll just start by cleaning this up. I'm actually going to take this bung out as well. This boat's not out of the water very often, as you can probably tell. So it's a great opportunity just to reseal it while the Sikaflex is open. It doesn't last forever in the tube, so while you're here, never an easier time just to use up a bit more of the tube and make sure everything's good to go for another year. Alright, I'm feeling way too lazy this morning to use a wire brush, so I'm actually just going to use one of these. It's called a Stripit disc. It's just kind of a hard plastic on a disc, so I'm just going to use this to grind this area. I've got that bung off now, just to grind all the old sealant off. Might just grab some safety glasses.
So now, just the original bung hole, 2 screws for that, these 2 corrosion holes, and then just a couple of rivet holes from the original time it was sort of patched, the emergency patch. So you really need to get this back to this sort of shiny aluminium. I'm now going to give this a bit of a wipe with acetone, let that evaporate. I'm also going to try and reuse these rivet holes. I don't want to have more holes than I need to, but I'll also be putting a couple new ones over here. So I'll probably have 6 holding the plate on. You don't have too many because then you start sort of almost perforating the metal. So, but that'll be more than enough to hold that Sikaflex in place while it dries.
So next thing I want to do is just cut a plate. I'm thinking like, this can be reasonably straight, but I don't want to interfere with this bung, so I might sort of come down and make it reasonably square, but just cut a section out of here. So I think I'll just start with a square and then just cut the corner off. So I'll probably just get a bit of paper, make a bit of a template, and then we'll come and cut the aluminium. Last night's pizza box. Excuse the tomato sauce. So I'm thinking come from here to about here. And because of these rivets, probably come to about here. And then because of this bung, I'm kind of looking at cutting that corner off like that. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking for. Now, this transom's not completely flat. I'm going to hit this with a hammer a little bit just to take that real lump out. Aluminium, this is old aluminium as well. It can get quite brittle, quite, you know, it's just, it doesn't age well, aluminium. It lasts a long time, it's great in that sense, but it loses a bit of its ability to weld and to be valuable and things to get older. So I'm just going to give it a few tabs just to take the bulk of the curve. I'm not looking to make it completely flat, just to make it a little bit of a shape. I'm going to actually then hammer the new aluminium to hug whatever shape is left in this afterwards, because it's going to be much more workable because it's new. I'm going to obviously just start by using this factory edge. I'm not going to just trace around it, I'll just use the corners. And I can just use that straight edge on those just to get a slightly better line. Just going to swap this wood blade out for an aluminium blade. Now I'm just going to run it over a wire wheel just to take the burrs off the edges. One day I'll even get a workbench. Now I've got this marked up with those 4 holes I need to line up with. I'm going to pre-drill these and then we'll drill the others on the boat. So picking your drill bit, these rivets I'm going to use, that's going to focus on that, they're 4.8mm across. So I want to get something pretty close to that. Obviously a 5mm drill bit's the closest I'll get that it'll actually fit through. Assuming I have one, I'm so low on drill bits, but the idea is you're trying to find something that's big enough for the drill bit, big enough for the rivet to fit through, but not so big that the head of the rivet will pull through. So I'll try and dig one of those out, and I'll pre-drill this, then I'll start putting some sealant on it. Next step is just to cover the whole back of the plate with the sealant, with the Sikaflex. I'll get that all in place, then I'm going to put it on now. You want a reasonable bed, but at the same time it can't be that thick because you've got to fit the rivet through this plate, which is actually about 2mm thick, in case you're wondering, through the Sikaflex, through the actual hull of the boat. But it's good that it's pretty consistent and even. So I'll do that now and then we'll squidge it into place. So what I'll do too is just dip the rivet in some Sikaflex just so it comes here on the back of the head of the rivet. That way it'll seal against the plate. Now I've got the slight extra complexity of lining this up with some existing holes. So just a bit of sealant on these rivets. So rivets in, silicone behind them. Just pop them on the rivet gun. So as you pull the rivets in, you'll see the plate, the silicone or the Sikaflex start to squeeze out, which means that the rivet's gripped right from the back. It's a little bit hard to describe, but you sort of get a feel for whether it's the rivet's actually catching and pulling properly over time. So maybe just have a few practice rivets on something if you've never riveted anything before, but there's no real skill to it. Usually takes 2 or 3 pumps on the handle to get to the point where the shaft snaps off. Now this silicone that's oozed out, Sikaflex, sorry, actually silicone, just going to run around and help it seal under here. Now this is the one I haven't done yet. I was actually going to do 2, but I think I might actually just do a single one here. But this is more the situation you might be in if you're putting a patch on for the first time. You can actually just put the patch on, drill right through, just making sure there's nothing critical you're drilling into on the far side. Bit of sealant on the rivet again. That particular problem I had there, this rivet gun can be a bit hard to get the shanks of the old rivets out. I actually just use another rivet and then tap on them. It's a bit gummed up with sealant probably. So when I put the rivet gun on them, it actually pushed the shaft through the rivet. It's not actually attached. So just be aware that can happen. Just use a new one. Now, I'm just putting a little bit of extra around the edges. I think we had about the right amount on it. It wasn't so much that came out, and it wasn't so thick that that we couldn't get the rivets in, but it was definitely a good bed. And because the surface of that aluminium was very clean from both the hull and the plate, I'm very confident of the adhesion we're going to get on this. And then obviously the protection, this can knock against things and it's not going to start wearing that sealant away. It's quite well protected behind that aluminium. So we'll just come in and have a closer look. This is sort of the finished product. I'm not saying this is sort of the prettiest patch in the world, but I can pretty much guarantee you it won't leak. The other thing I do, so this lives in the water, in which case it's quite critical because, it sits unattended all night long or whatever. This is a situation where being watertight is really important, and I've got pretty much full confidence in this. The other thing you can do, if you're a bit more worried, and this is what I have done in the past, is you can get the patch on like this, exactly the same, let the sealant dry, and once that's gone off, you can actually then just sort of paint over the top of the whole thing with a sort of an epoxy paint, just as another sealant. But to be honest with you, I really don't think it's necessary. So thanks for watching. I hope you find this technique helpful. If you do have a hole, so everything from if it's a single pinhole, then just dip the rivet in the Sikaflex, put the rivet in. That's a great way to fix a pinhole as well. So same technique, no plate. If it's a bigger hole or a crack or something, put the plate on the top. It also reinforces that area. The aluminium is quite thin there, so it's nice to have the extra strength. Look, I've done this plenty of times on boats that live in the water constantly, and they last years and years and years and years. So I've got a lot of confidence in this technique now, having seen it work so well so many times over the last 15 years or whatever. You know, another thing that's nice about it is you can use sort of things you can buy quite cheaply, and it doesn't take any particularly you know, hard to learn skills. So it's a nice one you can do yourself. So thanks again. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please subscribe, and I'll catch you soon. See ya.